Good evening, everybody.
I was
We were
muted.
jamming.
There we go.
Yeah,
That was one
that
of the
music,
best
man.
soundtracks.
Yeah,
That's right.
you changed it up tonight. It
I
kind of,
did.
I don't
I
know,
was I
almost
was
put me to sleep a little bit.
I was feeling a little dangerous. So
That's almost, what's that song? Sexual Healing.
that's right.
It's kind
Definitely.
of got that vibe.
Um the we've had some recommendations from some friends of ours to change platforms, and we definitely plan on doing that. Hopefully the platforms have better music options because the other one's this one. And today's show is brought to you by the letter A. Oh man. All right, dude. Well, we're missing William again today. That guy takes more vacations than Joe Biden. But it's
It's
okay.
pretty close, isn't it?
Huh? Pretty close. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw, speaking of that, Joe Biden has taken vacation days. He has taken 138 vacation days since he, became president.
Got it. And then we factor in all the other days where he's probably just been drugged out or unconscious. And he's been president for all of like 14 days.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, he's not president. There's people pulling the strings,
Absolutely.
just like Bernie. Weekend at Bernie's.
I remember Weekend at Bernie's.
That was a good movie.
It was. It was one of the better movies for sure. All right, man. So what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about flipping real estate with little to no cash, I believe was the topic. But we can,
Can you can you flip real estate with little cash? Is that even possible?
well, I guess it depends on, if we're talking about your cash or, money that you've borrowed. So it is possible. I mean, obviously, you do need some money, but whether it doesn't have to all come from you though, and there's several different ways and some things that came to mind that I felt would be worth sharing, and maybe people can learn from them and get some ideas and go do it themselves. But it's just about being creative. And I think there's a misconception though that you have to have all this money before you start investing in real estate or investing in a flip property. But there are options out there to where that's not the case. The main thing is to be able to find the property. And once you've found the property, that would be a good flip. Like Coach Burt says, you commit and then you figure the rest out. So you got to make the commitment first, and then the rest of it will come into play, or come into place.
Is that Burt from Burt and Ernie?
No, Coach Burt.
Oh, Michael Burt. Got it.
Michael Burt.
Wrong Burt. Sorry. So okay, so let's talk about that for just a second. So assuming, I guess the title can be a little deceiving because you do need a little bit of cash. Like you can't just like have no cash whatsoever. But assuming that, like, let's say you have $20,000, do you think that somebody could flip a piece of real estate with 20 grand?
I think so.
Okay, so what are the options if you only have $20,000 or $30,000? Let's say we don't want to get too extreme here. What are some of the options that you have if you only have 20 grand and you want to get into flipping real estate?
Well, the when you mentioned the 20 grand, immediately in my mind, I was thinking, well, depending on what needs to be rehabbed, 20 grand would, depend on the property, might complete the rehab, right?
Okay.
So then you just need funds to actually purchase the property. So, there's a lot of people that have the money, but don't have the time to look for deals. And they are willing to give the money to people who are, actively looking to find deals. So like if somebody approached me that had the 20 grand and they had found a property, depending on how much it would take to buy the flip, I would go in on it with them, buy the property, and sharing the proceeds. Let's say it's 100,000 to buy the property. Okay, well, we'll secure the property, we'll buy it, whether I have the full 100 or not. I may have a friend that goes 50-50 with me. Maybe you jump in, you put 50,000 in, I put 50,000 in, and the person with the 20,000 for the rehab, they're managing the property, fixing the property up, and then we sell it, and then we just split the proceeds. I think it would be a very good deal for both parties, everybody involved.
So a quick question there. How do those two people meet? Assuming that somebody has $20,000 and the ambition to want to get into flipping real estate, and then somebody like you has the $100,000, which is the remainder of the capital that's needed to complete that deal. How would those two individuals meet?
Well, there's networking events for people like that. People that are getting started, or investors that are looking to invest their money with people. So just getting out there, realtors, mortgage brokers, building a network of those type people when they come across deals. People at the bank, letting the bank that I use, they have a specific commercial lending department. So I have a lady that works there, and she knows that she kind of knows what I'm looking for, and knows if it's in my appetite or not. And I look back to when I did my first flip over 10 years ago, and at that point, that property that I found was just listed on the MLS, which nowadays you really don't want to find properties on MLS, because by the time they hit MLS, they've already been vetted, or they've already been turned down by most of the investors. Because, in order to find a deal, you're going to most likely have to buy it off market. And it's already been shopped around to the people that would buy it off market. And so by the time it hits MLS like that, there's something wrong with it. I'm just speculating. Um, but yeah, it's through building a network of people and just letting them know your ambitions, what you have to work with. So when opportunities come up, they know, hopefully, to reach out to you. But
So go ahead, finish your thought.
I was going to share, a story about a friend of mine who flips land, and the way he does it. And I met him through a coaching program that we both were in, and it just took us talking and meeting and getting to know each other over a few months, and then he presented me an opportunity to invest some money with a deal that he was doing. So it's just putting yourself in rooms, and being around people that are trying to do things like you are.
So what I was going to say then, in that relationship, the guy with the 20 grand is obviously the entrepreneur, the legwork behind that deal, and then the one providing the larger amount of capital, it would be what we would call like the private money lender. They kind of both need each other, because the private money lender that has the 100 grand, he wants the money, but he doesn't want to do any of the work. The guy with the 20 grand, he doesn't have the money, but he's willing to do the work. And at the end of the day, there's a mutual compromise that, like, hey, we each have resources. Let's put those resources together. Let's make this deal happen, and we can both walk away with money. And I would say, and this isn't always the case, but I would say more often than not, the one that's providing the $100,000, the bigger chunk of the capital, is probably somebody. Probably not like, oh, I'm not calling you old, Dwight, but probably somebody a little bit older, like Dwight, um, who is all for making money, but isn't like, oh, I want to go and work, 13-hour days fixing this property. Would that be a pretty adequate assumption, you would say?
Yeah, yeah, and there's equal value, in my opinion, to both parties in that scenario. The one that has the capital to buy the property, and then the one, like you said, willing to put in the sweat equity, willing to find the deals, because there's a lot of work that goes into even finding an opportunity to buy. Which, most likely that person with the money, maybe they're running a business, and they don't have time to look for properties, or drive neighborhoods and door knock and do the things like that a lot of people still do today, to find their deals. And then the person with the 20 grand sweat equity fixing the property up, that there's a lot of value in that. So a good partnership could be formed between parties like that. And
go ahead, man. There's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a client of mine who, he flipped, net profit $1 million of properties in 2023. And he's got a guy, it's kind of like somebody behind the curtain, where he just funds all of his deals. And, so when he's at an auction, or a property comes his way, he's not scrambling around, looking for money. He just calls his guy and be like, hey, I need X amount. And the guy sent it to him, and I'm not sure of after that, the breakdown of, what the guy gets in return, if it's 50-50 or what, but, having somebody like that who does have the capital, does make it a lot easier. And in that way, you're kind of limited as to what capital you have in the deal. So you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started.
What would that deal look like then? Is that like a 50-50 deal? Is that like a 60-40? So let just for simplicity, let's say, because I'm younger, right? Let's say I'm the one with the 20 grand. You're obviously older, so you're the one with the 100 grand. And so let's say we're able to acquire and fix the property for $120,000, which is our combined capital. and let's say we're able to now sell that property for 160 grand. So it's $40,000 profit. What's the adequate split there?
Well, I guess it would be negotiable. Um, I mean, I guess a 50-50 split, or the person with the 100,000, maybe they don't need to know about the sales price, and maybe they're willing for the person with the 20,000 just to pay them 15% interest, to let them borrow the money for 4 or 5 months, and you do 15% at that short period of time. That's almost a 40% annualized return. And where else are they going to put 100 grand and make that type of return in that short period of time? So that could also be an option. And then that way, the person with the 20,000 is keeping a bigger slice of the pie at the end of it. And then they've got more capital then to go into the next deal with.
Correct. And I think for the person that's doing the legwork and has the $20,000, that's good and bad. When you want to structure a deal that way, you can keep more of the profit, but you're also taking all of the risk because you are going to pay that 15% to the private money lender, whether you make money on the deal or not. Whether you make money on the deal or not, however long it takes for you to finalize that deal, you're paying that 15%. And so obviously the longer it takes for you to finish the deal, the more interest you're going to have to pay. Right? I mean that's the way the deal works is you're tying up the money for a longer period of time.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's part of the risk. And that's where
So
the holding costs come in.
so assuming that you loan me the $100,000 for 15%. Now, are we talking 15% for the duration of the deal? Are we talking 15% per month? How is that compounded?
I would say you'd want to do it 15% for the deal, but then also have it capped. Maybe at 6 months. I think that's a good time frame.
Okay.
For the rehab to be completed, for it to be sold, and then have some stipulations. What happens if it exceeds that 6 month period? What does that look like? At that point, is it calculated on an annual basis? It's all negotiable, right? And that's the fun part of the game, is working out, being creative, and making sure there's meat on the bone for everybody involved, and everybody wins.
Which reminds me, I need to send you a check.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's kind of break down the different components of that. We identify well, I'm the one with the 20 grand and the ambition, and I'm the one that doesn't have a lot of liquid capital. I identify a property. I'm like, okay, well, they're going to sell me this property for $100,000, and I calculate that it needs $20,000 of renovation. You're going to loan me the $100,000. We can structure this one of two ways. I can say that I'm going to cut you in on a percentage of the revenue, either that's 50-50 or 60-40. Maybe I take a little bit more because I'm doing all the legwork. You have to obviously agree. But then you are also taking, if we do it that way, you're taking risk because you also understand that you're keeping a percentage of the capital appreciation of the property, which could be 40 grand, could be 50 grand, could be 70 grand, could be zero. So you're because you want to make more money, you are also taking on more risk. So that's one way to structure it. Or you could say, I don't care what you sell the property for. You're just going to pay me 15% on my $100,000 in 6 months, which means in 6 months you have to return the $100,000 plus 15%. So that's $15,000. So you loan me 100 grand, and I'm giving you back 115,000. Correct?
Right. Yeah. And really, if it's over that 6 month period, that's a 30% return. annualized.
Right.
So, and two, in that particular deal that we're breaking down, I think initially you had mentioned maybe a $40,000 profit. Well, if you split the $40,000 profit, that leaves each 20,000. But in 6 months, if I'm going to earn 15,000 with really no risk, because I'll have the property will be the collateral, so I'll at least get the property if I have to foreclose. Um, is it worth the extra 5 grand? At that point, now we're just talking about it, that small of a deal, but obviously if the deal gets bigger, the numbers change. But that's just something to consider, and why you want to think about things. And like you're talking about the 60/40, maybe that is more appropriate. If one person's going to be doing a lot of the legwork, rehabbing the property, dealing with contractors and things like that, that's worth money as well.
Well, brother, for starters, it can always get bigger. The deal, that is. So that's always a possibility. So secondly, how do you protect yourself? So if you're loaning me the 100,000, you're saying that if I don't follow through at the end of the 6 months, if I default, you keep my $20,000, you keep all of the work that I did, and you keep the property, right? That's generally the way it works.
Yeah, yeah, because at that point, with my 100,000, since I bought the property, I would be the lien holder. On the deed, it would be my name. So then the property would just come to me, and then it would be mine, and I could do with it what I wanted. If it meant putting 5 or 10,000 in it just to finish up the rehab and then selling it, that would be an option. Sell it as it is, you know. But yeah, the collateral would have to be there for before you made that loan.
So I guess you as a private money lender, what due diligence would you do to ensure that you're protected? So you're buying the property, which means that the deed initially comes to you. And then so when you sell the property, then are you selling the property or am I selling the property? How does the sale happen since it's deeded over to you?
Are you talking about like if the deal goes good, we finish the rehab and then we sell it?
Right, because there's two different ways to do it, right? Like you could hold the deed if you buy the property, or I can hold the deed and you can be a lien holder on the property. Um,
Yeah.
I guess which way would you, as a private money lender, prefer doing it?
Well, I guess technically either way, because even if you're listed first, in first position as a lien holder, there's nobody else in front of you. The property would be yours in the case of a default. Uh, so that's one way to do it, but I guess it would depend on who you're working with and the level of trust that you have with them. What the property looks like, what all needs to be done. So there's some variables that you want to think about in the way you want to structure it. So there's no right or wrong. Well, I guess there could be a wrong. There's no right. There's a couple different rights, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm just kind of thinking of the mechanics of the deal because, like, if I was a private money lender, I would want to hold the deed. But I'm just kind of trying to figure out, well, if I'm holding the deed, then the property is mine. And then if whoever's wanting to renovate the property, they're just putting up the capital, but the property is already mine. So we have to have some sort of a contract where once it's finalized, we put it up for sale, at which point I recoup my money and my percentage and interest, and then I just pay you out for everything that you did.
Yeah, I think the cleanest way would be for um, you just to be in a first position lien holder, in the property itself, be deeded to who that person bringing 20,000 to the table, because it would work the same way if you went to an actual bank, to borrow the money. they're not going to hold the deed, in the bank's name. It would be the person borrowing the money, and then the bank would just have that collateral tied to the property. So I think that would be the best way to do it,
And how, I
unless
guess in
there's some
essence,
sort
how
of
would,
partnership agreement.
right? How do you record a lien against a property?
Well, when you close on the property, the closing attorney or the title company, they record all that with the county.
Got it.
Yeah, so
And
it's
so,
there.
ladies and gentlemen, all that means when you're and by the way I structure this is like I'm just interviewing Dwight, but pretending like I'm an idiot, but I'm actually understanding everything that I'm asking him. This is a good way for you guys to get the information. Um, a lien, when you hold a lien against a property, basically, anytime that that property is sold, the first lien holder has to be paid first. So if you are first lien holder on that property, assuming that the person that you loan money to, in this particular scenario, if you are the private money lender, whoever you loan the money to, if they don't pay you back and then they try to sell that property at any point in the future, you're going to be because you have a lien against the property. Basically, there's debt owed to you against the value of that property. You need to be paid back first. What's the risk with that, Dwight? Because there has to be risk.
You cut out a little bit. I missed that. If you were asking me a question.
Yeah, I was asking you, what's the risk to that? Like, you're a first lien holder. Is there any risk?
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, as the lien holder, you most likely don't want to be in the business of owning those properties. You're just wanting to lend the money to get them fixed up, and then the person sell them, and you get paid your money back plus the interest. So that would be a risk, that the person does default. Maybe they get into the rehab and it ends up being a more expensive rehab, or there's issues, the foundation's messed up, and just unforeseen things that they don't have the resources to finish or the know-how, and they just walk away from the property. Well, now the property's yours, and it's up to you to decide the best exit strategy from there. Um, so, and I think that from a private money lending standpoint, you want to check out the collateral. Send me some pictures. Send me the address, and then let me look at it. And before you just go and lend somebody some money initially. Now, once you build up a track record of working with this individual, then maybe you trust what they're saying, and you trust that they know what they're doing at this point. But I think I would still like to look at the property that's being used as collateral, just to make sure everything checks out.
Right, because that's what your money is backing. So you want to see what your money is being used for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Actually, so I'm starting to build some connections in the watch world because I just like watches. I don't own anywhere near enough of them, nor expensive enough watches to make it worth anybody's while. But I would like to at some point in my life. And I've thought about that because as we start picking up new clients, like a lot of them are actually very good watch traders. They just lack the capital. So one of the things that I was thinking was, well, I, I don't want to go and find the deals, but what if I could provide the capital to find the deals, right? So like assuming that I can
Yeah.
provide $40,000. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming that I could provide them like 40 grand of capital, be like, okay, well, let's go buy two watches, 2 to 3 watches, what, the 40 grand. And let's see if in 3 months we can turn the 40 grand to 60 grand. And we split the profits. And then we do it again and do it again. And I just think that it's just a much quicker market no insurance, no deeds, none of that. Just finding the deals, which the deals are out there if you look for them. I just don't have the time to do so. So that's something that's been on the back of my mind. But in the process, I would learn a little bit more about the watch industry, which is a huge industry. Like I'm part of a watch club, and there's people making well into the six figures just buying and selling watches. So it's definitely something that you think about the in an ideal world, like what would I like to do? Not that I don't like helping people with finances and taxes and dealing with clients. I'm not saying that. But in an ideal world, what would I enjoy doing? I would enjoy flipping real estate, trading money in stocks, and just buying and selling watches. That would be like that would be my ideal life. Just make seven figures doing that. One day,
Well,
Dwight. One day, man.
you've gotten me in. Well, I've never been into watches like that. Yeah, I'm fine with my Garmin. Yeah, my Garmin. Nothing fancy. I think it was $150. And when you started showing me some of the watches that you look at, and actually that you own, like, golly, I would never spend $7,500 for a watch. But then you start looking at it, and it's so cool. The features, and it's just badass. And I was like, golly. So from time to time, I'll hop on eBay and start looking at them again. And but then, you know what to look for. And like me, it's the same thing with real estate. Um, you know, I may see a watch that looks like a really good deal, but then you look at it and be like, dude, did you notice it has some scratches on the glass, or it has some scratches on the band? That's why it's cheap, you know? And do you want, just because it's cheap and it's a Rolex or something else, do you want a watch that's scratched up? Well, I wouldn't. Even if it is used, I would still want it reasonably blemish free. And so the guy that came through our system, I don't think we've met with him yet, but I think his gross income selling watches was 15 million last year, or projected for this year was $15 million selling watches.
Mm-hmm.
And he was projecting to net, if I remember correctly, about 600,000 maybe. I may have a number, like, but it was still in the six figures. So yeah, I'd like to learn more about it, and that could be an option. You know me, I'm always willing to put money in somewhere and try to make a dollar.
No, I feel you. Well, and it's all about perspective, right? Because if like so I've always liked watches, but everything comes in levels, right? And when I used to be a school teacher and I would buy watches, I would buy 150 $200 watches, which is, I mean, it's not chump change, but though those watches are not going to go up in value. They're actually going to depreciate,
No.
probably down to like about 50 bucks. Um,
Right.
the watches that are going to hold their value or appreciate in value probably start at $2,000 and up. $2,000, I would say, would be the minimum. And then from there, dude, you can get all the way up to $200,000 for a watch. It's just ridiculous. But the way I see it is, I see it as an asset. I see it the same as buying a piece of real estate, the same as buying a stock. The only, and I hadn't even shared this with you, man. The only shitty thing, because I mean, I've shared this on the podcast before. Like, my house burnt down. One of the things that I made sure every watch that I bought had to have its box and its papers. Well, I was able to save the majority of my watches, but guess what? I was not able to save all of my box and papers. They were all in my office. They're all gone. So I'm gonna have to. I can replace them. I can order like replacement boxes and some replacement papers. But and I mean, obviously, I'm gonna factor that into the insurance claim and everything. But Yeah, I was just like, my boxing papers, dude.
Mhm.
That one hurt. Actually, that hurt probably more than my computer because I mean, it's just it's the set. It like completes the set. So yeah,
Yeah.
that one hurt a little bit.
Well, I definitely look at watches different now, and I notice too. I look at what watches people are wearing, whereas I didn't
Yeah.
do that like 6 months ago, and I still don't know enough about them to know if that's a $2,000 watch or a 10,000. It just it looks nice.
No, I feel you,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I nowadays I always look at people's watches.
And then too, you'll be on a Zoom call with somebody and they'll be like this, with the watch, and you're like, okay, what kind of watch is that? Are you doing that on
Or
purpose so I can see?
no, no, no. I That's just the way I talk. I always put my hand on my face like this or
Not
like
didn't
this.
mean you. I
Uh,
was talking about like other people.
oh, um, but well, because we're both fans of him. So Nate Bargatze, right? Did I pronounce his last name correctly? The comedian,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
like he wears some nice watches,
Does he?
some real nice watches. Yeah, where I think I've seen him with Rolexes. I've seen him with Breitlings. I was like, oh, that's a break. That's like one of the specials that he did, which wasn't. I don't think it was one of the newer specials because now he just makes a hell of a lot more money than he did like 10 years ago. But one of the older specials, like you see, and I was like, that's a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage. That's like a $5,000 watch. I could see it, and I was just like, dude, yeah, he likes watches. Like next time that you watch one of the specials, check it out, and he'll roll up his sleeve so that you can see his watch.
Okay.
Real cool dude,
Yeah.
man. That guy's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely caught on, and he's doing really well right now. But I like his style of humor too. It appeals to me. I, I guess
He
because he's like he lives, I don't know, 45 minutes away. Kind of
you know
talks
where he
my speed.
lives?
Yeah,
He
he
does
lives
talk
near
your speed.
me.
But like you actually know where he lives, or you just know the
No, I
area that
don't.
he lives in.
I know the area. Yeah, I don't know where he lives. I'm sure it has a gate.
Well, I'm sure it does. Yes, to keep people like you and me out. Well, he came out on the Dave Ramsey show.
He came out.
Yeah, he was a guest on the Dave Ramsey show.
Mm. Yeah, I think he lives in I want to say Hendersonville, maybe Tennessee. It's around the Nashville
Because
area.
Dave Ramsey's in Tennessee too, right?
Yeah, he's out in Franklin.
Okay. I heard his office is pretty impressive. His headquarters.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Um,
Cool, man.
but yeah, I keep looking at that's what I want to get. I want to get a Breitling. You said Breitling is how you pronounce it?
Breitling. Yeah.
I like the bands. The bands that they have are just awesome. They're not that typical watch
I
band.
No, no, they have a lot of different like mesh bands or just different textured bands. Like literally my favorite watch, and they have so many different price points, but it's the Hublot. Um, like I just think they make real pretty watches. That's like one of my dailies, the one I'm wearing right now. But then the like when you know that you've made it, it's not even a Rolex. Like when you buy a Rolex, that's more like the watch that you buy because that's the good quality of the watch that most people know. Like people that really don't know much about watches at least know that a Rolex is a good watch. Like that's just kind of the standard. So everybody has to have a Rolex. But like literally in the watch community, Rolex is like one of the least desirable watches. Like it's just like unless you're talking about like really particular types of, and I've shared some of those with you. Like real, there's certain colors, certain styles that are very high in demand always. But Ubel is one of my favorite. But the AP, the Audemars Piguet, um, dude, like those watches start like at 25 grand, which obviously that's way beyond my comfort zone right now to spend on a freaking watch. But
Mhm.
gotta have some goals, some aspirations, right? So
Well,
soon,
how do you
God
spell
willing.
that? How do you spell that? Hublot?
Yeah, it's Hublot, Hublot.
Okay. I think you mentioned that one to me too.
Yeah, they make real pretty watches. Well, their watches are a lot more colorful, a lot sportier, which is what I like.
I can see what you mean about the Rolexes though, and how a novice watch collector, that's what they would think about, because until you mentioned those other brands, I had no idea that those other brands were out there. And when you look at those watches, the design on those are so much cooler than the Rolexes. The Rolexes to me look like um, I could wear that in 30 more years, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Most of them are ugly, dude. Most Rolexes are not pretty watches. They're very like. There's only like a handful of them that are nice. But yeah, there's just other. I mean, so many other types of watches. They're just a lot more elegant, just a lot nicer. But once again, and nothing against people that own Rolexes. If you are fortunate enough to have a collection of Rolexes, more power to you. And really, that's the watch that people know. So, but once again, it depends on the clientele that you work with too. Because like if you work with like middle to upper America, and I mean Rolex is what they know. But like if you work with like millionaires, like they know watches. Like yeah, that's like a whole nother level of perspective. But yeah, we went off on a tangent there. Anyways, so to kind of circle back to the original case in point, you can very much flip real estate with very little money. Anything that you wanna say before we close out, dude?
Yeah, I think just don't limit your mindset and think that you have to have this big, treasure chest of money to get involved in real estate. Um, I was going to share, about the guy who flips land, um, and the guy that I've done some hard money loans with. But I mean, basically, in a nutshell, what he is doing when he buys the land, actually, he's not buying the land. He is he's putting in place what they call an option to purchase. So, and the way he structures it with the landowner is he tries to work out like a 6 to 9 month option, and he'll put some earnest money down, just to show some good faith. But because that was one thing that I was curious about. You've got a $500,000 parcel of land, and most banks won't lend you money, a lot of money anyway, on raw land. They make you put a lot of money down for down payment. So I was
Right.
like, golly, how's he, buying a $500,000 piece of property? But he's not. All he's doing is putting down like 15 grand for earnest money, and 15 grand still a lot of money, but it's not 500,000. And he's just putting an option in place for 6 to 9 months, like I said. And during that 6 to 9 month period, he's using that as his due diligence to get the property zoned for what he wants to use it for. He has an architect come in. He has an engineer come in. They design what the land's going to look like. If it's townhomes, if it's single family homes, where the roads will be. And he goes to the city and gets the city to look at everything and approve it, or recommend, in this area we need some drainage, or whatnot, so go back and redesign it. So in the end, then once the city signs off on it, he tries to find an end buyer just to buy the land plus the set of plans that the city has already approved. So all you got to do, for the developer then, is start building. And so at no point did he buy the land, because ultimately, at closing, the developer is buying that option from him. that he had with that original person, and he's clearing very good money. In a short, well, sometimes it goes a year or so. It's not that short of a process, but in particular, one deal he did with me, he netted $1 million.
Yeah, that's when you were like, "Why is this guy paying me so
Yeah,
much interest?" And then you found out that he made $1 million with your money.
yeah. And he was paying me, 15% interest, which I thought was great. But then, yeah, I found out that he put $1 million in his pocket from the spread. And I was like, dude, I said, I want part of that 1 million next time. So we're in talks. I texted him today about something. So we're going to work something out. And I'm sure once we get something nailed down, I'll let you know as well, because I think it's something that you'd
In-
probably want to be included on.
Include me in that. Don't be an asshole. Let me know, and I'll include you. I'll include you in the watch deals.
Well, I was going to say we get $1 million and then we'll go buy that $25,000 watch.
That's definitely a possibility. I'll tell you that it's kind of crazy, dude. Like, because I mean, his skill set is the architecture and the zoning. Like, that's what he understands, and he has his connects. So basically, he's just. I mean, in reality, if the people that were selling the land had that skill set, they could sell that land for way more than they're selling it to him. But they don't have that skill set. So he basically, through paperwork, he's drastically appreciating the value of that land.
Well, yeah. And, a lot of time, because he's going to the city, he's going to the meetings, he's going to the zoning meetings, and trying to make an argument on, why this land needs to be rezoned to this, and his intentions. So, there is some work, but yeah, he's done a lot of education. He's taken classes, and actually, he has a program coming out now, which it was funny because we were meeting a few weeks ago, and I said, "Man, I said you have so much knowledge. You need to come up with a course where you can charge people to go through this course where they can do what you do." He's like, "Man, it's so funny you bring that up. I'm in the process of writing the course outline and how that's going to look." And so now he's developed, no pun intended, um, a character, and I guess it's public knowledge. It's on Facebook now, but it's Mr. Flippy. And so Mr. Flippy uh, through this educational course is going to help people flip land and do exactly what he does. And he's already recorded some of the course material that people can go through. So yeah, it's amazing. You start doing one thing and how that leads to other opportunities where you can also make some money. But I'm proud to be associated with him, and he's doing some good things. So, but yeah, I
Well,
think he might be able to build a spec house. That's what I've been wanting to do personally, is build a spec house. And um, he's like, "I think I might be your guy for that." I was like, "I was hoping you would be." So, let's get going. So,
let's do it, man. Well, I typed in Mr. Flippy on Google, and it took me to a website that I didn't want to go to. So let's
uh,
exit on it.
maybe he hadn't worked out his
That's
SEO yet.
Yeah, that's not the right. I'm pretty sure that's not the right Mr. Flippy. Um,
If you go,
uh,
let's see. Oh, there it is. Type it in on Facebook. It's Mr. Flippy, and then it's #1 land flipper.
got it. But it's on Facebook.
Yeah, on
Mr. How do you
Facebook.
spell Flippy? FLI.
FLIPPY. Yeah, he's got this.
And what was the
It looks like one of your gold chains he's wearing.
#1 land flipper? Oh, I see it. Man, this
Yeah, so
mascot's on point.
he's put this together really quick. Um, but he's got some videos. He even the guy who is the brains behind it. He's done some rap songs, and so he's even recorded a little jingle for Mr. Flippy that he's singing. He's the one singing it. So
I've done a jingle before, like really, I have. Back in my music days for a commercial.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
actually
thought
pretty
you were
good.
being nasty again.
No, no, no. I promise it wasn't. No, I've done a jingle before. I can see where I can see where you would make that assumption. Absolutely.
Yeah, so everybody go check out Mr. Flippy.
Nice. I'm gonna go like his page. How exciting, dude. Well, a lot of good things happening in 2024. We will see what we bring you next week. But guys, thank you for watching. Anything you want to say before we close out?
Um, you know, we're here to help, and you know, we try to do these for educational purposes, and you know, give people ideas on what they can do. And if you ever have a question, or you know, just you have an idea and want to bounce it off of us, of one of us, shoot us a message. We'll be glad to hop on a call and connect. So we're here to help. We want to make sure that everybody wins. There's enough money to go around for everybody, and we don't want to be stingy, and we just want to let everybody do the best they can and win for themselves and their family, and leave a legacy. So thanks for everybody that watched, and hope to see you next week. We appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, guys. See you later.